Now that the tax deadline is behind us, unless you filed an extension, it's time for you to make sure that your books match your tax return. Most of my listeners on this podcast do their own bookkeeping for their business, and this is one of the steps that business owners are normally a little hesitant or unsure about how to handle. By being proactive and learning the right way to take care of this situation, you'll be able to rely on your financial statements and utilize them in future planning for your business. In today's podcast episode, I'm digging into how you should be recording any adjusting journal entries that should be made in your bookkeeping software so that your books match your tax return. Whether you're starting a business or side hustle, you're a self-employed individual, a solopreneur, entrepreneur, mompreneur, freelancer, business owner, bookkeeper, or virtual assistant. Taking the initiative to ensure your books match your tax return is another way to master your small business finances. If you're a business owner who wants to take your business to the next level, whether you're starting a business, you're building your business, or you're serious about growing your business, I want to invite you to work with me so that you can meet your goals in the most accelerated, streamlined, and efficient way possible that also aligns with your life and the impact that you want to make with your business. As a CPA, business strategist, and coach, I've created 2 options for you to choose from when you work with me. The first is my Mastering Your Small Business Finances Profit Lab. This is a group program where we have live weekly business meetings and coaching sessions to answer your questions so that you can generate revenues and increase the profit in your business. You can learn more about the Profit Lab by going to financialadventure.com/profit. Or, if you like the idea of working with me on a more private, one-on-one basis, you can schedule a free consultation session where we'll go over where you currently are in your business and where you'd like to see yourself and your business in the future. During this session, we'll begin to map out the steps you need to take to achieve your goals. I'm helping my clients start their businesses, become more profitable, set strategies to move their business forward, and take control of their business and their finances while allowing them the balance and ability to enjoy their personal lives by utilizing business strategy, coaching, mentorship, and support. You can schedule your session today by going to financialadventure.com and clicking on the Work With Me button. By taking action in your business, you'll achieve your goals. By keeping everything simple, you'll avoid confusion and overwhelm. You'll understand your business finances, your next steps, and you'll follow through with the vision that you have for your business. My goal is to help you dream big, follow your heart, and love what you do. You're listening to the Mastering Your Small Business Finances podcast, where we get straight to the point on topics that ultimately affect your bottom line. That's right, as an entrepreneur with a small business, money management, growth, marketing, they all affect your bottom line. I'm your host, Chris Ponick. I'm a certified public accountant, and I've been helping small business owners like you navigate and easily understand these complicated topics for over 25 years. I'm a wife, a mom, a grandmother, and a small business owner myself, so I know your time is valuable. In my free time, I make the best sugar cookies and have mastered an amazing chocolate chip cookie recipe. And that's not just my opinion. You're in the right place. I promise your time will be well spent here. Each week, you'll gain confidence and clarity while making a successful impact on your business and grow your bottom line. Get comfy, grab a cookie, and let's get straight to the point with this week's episode. Welcome back. So you were able to file your tax return by the deadline, and you think you're done with your prior year. But what if I told you there was one more thing that you should be doing to close out that prior year? It isn't hard, and many times it only takes a few minutes to do. But technically, your books are not complete until you make any adjusting entries to your books that were made when you had your tax return prepared. Adjusting journal entries are entries that you need to make to get your financial statements to match what your tax return shows. One of the most common adjusting journal entries is the depreciation journal entry. If you're a small business and you don't record your depreciation throughout the year, you'll need to record any depreciation that you're taking on your tax return in your books as well. If you had a tax preparer do your tax return for your business, the first thing that I want you to do is to ask them if there were any adjusting journal entries that need to be made in your books. More than likely, there will be at least one, but there could be many if the tax preparer found some items that needed to be cleaned up in your financial statements. If there are adjusting journal entries that need to be made, you have a few options. If you're using QuickBooks Online, you can ask your tax preparer if you can add them as an accountant user if you haven't already, and they could actually make the adjusting journal entries for you. If they already have access, you can ask them if they've already made these entries for you in your QuickBooks file, and if so, you're all set. If you're unable to add them as an accountant user, or if for some reason they don't want you to add them, your next step would be to ask your tax preparer to let you know of any adjusting journal entries that you should be making in your bookkeeping system so that the financial statements that you generate from your bookkeeping software will match your tax return for the year. When you get the list of adjusting journal entries, you'll notice that there should be a date of the journal entry, as well as the accounts that need to be debited and credited, and a dollar amount for each entry. Once you have this list, you will simply go in and create a journal entry in your QuickBooks software, and you'll enter the adjusting journal entries exactly as your tax preparer or your accountant has listed them for you. Pay close attention to the date so that you're able to get your entries into the appropriate year. When you've completed entering these adjusting journal entries, you can generate your balance sheet and your profit and loss reports so that you can compare these to the final financial statements your tax preparer used to prepare your tax return. If you see any discrepancies, you'll want to double check with your tax preparer and make any additional adjusting journal entries so that everything is in line with what your tax return is reporting. One last thing that I would recommend, especially after you record your adjusting journal entries and you know that your books are in sync with your tax return, is to close the books in your accounting software for that previous year. When you do this, it will prevent you from accidentally recording any entries into the year that you've just confirmed were correct. To close the books in QuickBooks, you'll go to your settings and set a closing date. For example, in QuickBooks Online, you'll click on the gear icon in the upper right and select Account and Settings. From here, you'll select Advanced, and you'll see the Close the Books in the Accounting section. You can then edit this date by using the year-end date of the year that you're closing out. You'll also notice that you do have an option to enter a password if you want to make any changes to the books after you set this closing date. You can select this option, but just know that if you are making any changes to a period that has been closed out and you've already filed your tax return, you may need to amend that tax return if you're making any changes. If you're using QuickBooks Desktop, you can click on the Edit button on the top menu bar and select Preferences. From here, you'll select the Accounting tab, and under Company Preferences, you'll want to change the date through which the books are closed to the correct period end date, and then make sure you save your changes. Knowing you have everything in your books recorded, up to date, and matching your tax return will not only give you a sigh of relief, but you'll also be able to be much more confident when you're looking back at your financial statements, knowing that everything is correct and everything matches your tax return. This will also help you when you're budgeting or creating forecasts for the future of your business when you're using that financial information. If you have any questions about recording your adjusting journal entries, or if you're ready to sign up for one of my free consultation sessions, you can go to financialadventure.com and click on the Work With Me button. I'm looking forward to meeting with you soon and digging deeper to see where you currently are in your business and start creating the steps so that you can reach your vision and your goals in the future, not only for your business, but in your personal life as well. I'm ready to work with you and see all of your successes. We'll work together to create your best work-life balance. I'll post links to this and other valuable resources for business owners and accountants where you're listening to this podcast. And you know I'm going to ask, what's at least one thing that you'll take away from this episode that will help your business succeed and grow your bottom line? If you need some accountability, join our private Facebook community and post your action item. We'd love to support you. Thanks for taking the time to tune into this episode of Mastering Your Small Business Finances. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed creating it for you, I'd love for you to give it a 5-star rating and subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Visit financialadventure.com for the show notes, links from this episode, and while you're there, leave a comment if you have a topic you're interested in learning more about that affects your bottom line. If you're looking for a community where you can ask questions and get feedback about your small business, join my private Facebook group. You can find the links to this group and more on financialadventure.com. And remember, any financial information shared on this podcast is not to be considered professional, financial, or tax advice and should not be solely relied upon. Please consult your CPA or tax advisor for an opinion on your specific circumstances. I'm looking forward to having you tune in next time. Until then, dream big, follow your heart, and love what you do.